Watchmen and The Boys both deconstruct superheroes and examine the idea of accountability, though their approaches are very different. Watchmen and The Boys both examine superheroism and the idea of accountability. Superheroes are self-appointed guardians with abilities far superior to those of normal human beings. They have a responsibility to protect lives and uphold moral and societal laws. However, superheroes usually don't answer to anyone, which is a problem when they misstep or abuse their power. Although both Watchmen and The Boys address superhero accountability, they each explore the topic differently. Here's a breakdown of each, including which property is more successful in its dismantling of superheroes. Created by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons, Watchmen follows one of the few remaining costumed vigilantes, Rorschach, as he discovers the death of a government-sponsored hero called the Comedian. Rorschach believes someone is trying to kill off masked heroes, and he warns his fellow compatriots. However, a larger conspiracy is unfolding that could threaten the world with nuclear annihilation. Watchmen is a deconstruction of the superhero genre, and it critiques superheroes by showcasing their flawed personalities and questioning whether they should be trusted holding so much power. The phrase "who watches the Watchmen?" appears constantly throughout the background of the comic series. The origins of this phrase can be traced back to the Roman poet Juvenal and his satires. Latin expression quis custodiet ipsos custodes literally translates to, "who will guard the guards themselves?" The expression is often used as a retort against those in positions of power, wanting them to be held accountable for their actions and misdeeds. In the context of Watchmen, decades of costumed vigilantism has done very little to tangibly change society for the better. Costumed vigilantes are considered mankind's saviors, but their actions haven't actually solved any underlying social issues or halted the escalating Cold War between Russia and the US. In fact, most of the heroes' motivation for crime fighting isn't as altruistic as readers are led to believe. The Minutemen, the first crime-fighting team, is established as a PR stunt by Captain Metropolis. The Crimebusters, short-lived successors to the Minutemen, are brought together by Captain Metropolis in 1966 to combat things like anti-war demonstrations and civil rights protests. The group quickly falls apart due to a lack of interest, and the Comedian derides the whole idea as a futile joke. Overall, the core heroes of Watchmen failed to stop Ozymandias from orchestrating a fake extraterrestrial attack on New York City to trick the world into peaceful compliance. Adrian Veidt masterminds a whole scheme that costs the lives of 3 million people in order to avoid nuclear war with Russia. His intentions are good, but his execution is catastrophic, and no one tells him he can or can't because no one supervises superheroes. When Watchmen was written, President Ronald Reagan and Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher headed two of the most powerful countries in the world. Moore feared what people like that could do if they were left unchecked, and Watchmen is ultimately a rejection of the superhero, the person who thinks they can solve all of society's problems by themselves. How The Boys addresses superhero accountability. Co-created by Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson, The Boys follows an eponymous team of vigilantes who are seeking to bring down Vought International and expose the abuses of its superheroes. Supes are people seemingly born with superpowered abilities, and they are celebrities in the eyes of the public. However, supes constantly endanger the world through reckless behavior with their godlike abilities. Vought International, the corporation responsible for marketing and monetizing these heroes, is a shady company that plans to use supes in the US military to further their global domination. The series deconstructs the superhero genre and critiques obsessive celebrity culture and commercialism. In terms of superhero accountability, supes are largely unchecked and can get away with anything they want so long as it doesn't hurt Vaught's bottom line. The speedster A-Train literally runs through Huey's girlfriend, but instead of facing serious punishment, Vought covers up the incident and has A-Train give a half-hearted apology. In this universe, status means everything, so the Seven go to extreme lengths to remain on the team. For example, Starlight disregards her morals, and A-Train takes a dangerous drug called Compound V. Supes mistakenly believe they're God's chosen, when in fact their powers were manufactured in a lab. The Boys want to expose Vaught's wrongdoings to the public and finally hold supes accountable for their actions. However, Billy Butcher and his team are extremely unethical in their approach. Although they are ultimately the underdogs, their ruthlessness almost makes Vought look good by comparison. If anything can be discerned from this series, it's that revenge can turn anyone into the same monsters they're fighting against. Violence begets violence. Which series does it better? When it comes to superhero accountability, Watchmen and The Boys approach the subject from different angles. Watchmen is an admonition to people who think they can be the end-all authority when it comes to safeguarding a nation. Moore and Gibbons examine the idea that people in positions of power must be held accountable, lest they go unchecked and fall into corruption and tyranny. The boys have a much simpler approach to accountability, and it's that violence creates more violence. Neither of these approaches is necessarily better. If superheroes actually existed in reality, mindless worship would lead to the same problems encountered in these works. Accountability is necessary for anyone, but especially those with influence and power.